The All-Star Weekend's dunk contest went from being the most hyped event to now kind of becoming a laughingstock. Dunks have been repetitive, players can't even do their routine on the first go, and Jaylen Brown is dunking over Kai Cenat in a chair. Fortunately, the contest is slowly being saved by a G League player on a two-way contract in Orlando, McClung. The originality and skill he has in slamming the ball is slowly bringing life back into the contest. Not only is he the first person to three-peat in the contest, but he was good enough to make John Morant finally think about joining. Even Giannis and Zach are thinking about participating. All this to say that Mac is a really good dunker, but that got me thinking. McClung may have won these awards due to a lack of competition, but the dunks he made were still crazily impressive no matter what. So does this mean that this random G Leaguer on a two-way contract for the Orlando Magic is a better dunker than Genshin Impact's Kaedehara Kazuha?
This shit too easy for me now. Nigga Cole been going plat since back when CDs was around. What you sold out triple debt, I can't believe these fucking clowns.
To begin, we'll analyze Kazuha in order to get a good idea of what he is capable of. Kazuha stands at 156.7 centimeters, which is roughly around 5'2", but we'll say 5'3" with the shoes on. His normal vertical jump is around 30 inches, so not that much coverage. But where he gets a lot of airtime is in his skill to use Animo for jumping. It's important to note that Kazuha can double jump, but for this dunk contest, it won't be allowed since that would be stupid. And either way, his skill propels him up to nearly 15 feet upwards, which is already way more than enough to compete. But pure jumping isn't the only thing looked at in the contest. Presentation and creativity are just as, if not more important. You can see this with dunkers like Stephon Castle and Kenyon Martin Jr. While it's true that these dunks take skill, pretty much everyone in the competition can think of this and do it. What separates the great dunks from the good ones is in their presentation and details. For example, Vince Carter's legendary dunk contest wasn't too flashy, but it was absolutely bonkers. These dunks are kind of things that happen every day now, but you gotta remember that no one was moving like this in 2000. He immediately wins the crowd by bringing down the hammer with a 360 one-handed slam and proceeded to dominate from there. One more example of a great dunk is McClung dunking over two people. You gotta remember that literally no one knew who the fuck Mac was. He was on the Sixers on a two-way at this point, so he basically had barely any supporters. However, he still showed that there's more to dunking on a piggyback. Instead of just grabbing the ball and throwing it in the basket, he tapped it off the glass before doing it. And in slow motion, it just makes the dunk so much cooler to look at. So now the question is, can Kazuha win the crowd with either a strong dunk or a superhuman feat? In game, we do know that he can do a 360 in air, but not really much other than that. If anything, he doesn't seem to be the flashy style, but more of the fundamental, which is why I kind of want to compare him to Zach LaVine in 2016. Say all you want about Aaron Gordon sitting on air, I still believe that Zach would have won in basically any other dunk contest. His first dunk was a behind the back one-handed reverse off the catch. Like, what the fuck was he smoking to think of this? And then he proceeds to hit a free throw line dunk in the next one. Now imagine if these pure athleticism dunks were being performed by Kazuha, and this is where I feel he shines the most. Instead of pulling out a monster truck and dunking off of moving McLaren, I feel Kazuha will just simply pull out the most insane mid-air moves. But before we talk about what he would do in the competition, let's firstly talk about his competition, McClung.
Then I said what I said, bitch you scared, bitch you scared. I don't go to sleep without a Glock by my bed.
McClung is what you get when you give a crackhead a really high jump. His max vertical is listed at 43.5 inches, which is the 7th highest in Combine history. For comparison, John Morant's vertical jump is listed at 44 inches. In the dunk contest, he has pulled out a crazy amount of moves. Once again, in 2023, he had a dunk over a piggyback while tapping the glass, followed by whatever this was, a hezzy mid-air while dunking, and a 360 reverse slam. This was before he started going crazy with the presentation. In 2024, he let go of the ball mid-air and hit a reverse slam. He then pulled out this bullshit again along with the piggyback, and then topped it off by bringing out Shaquille O'Neal and hitting a reverse over him like it was nothing. And now comes 2025, which was my personal favorite. He started off by dunking over the top of a fucking Kia, and he didn't pussy out like Blake Griffin by jumping over the hood. No, he went over the roof. Afterwards, he grabs the ball mid-air for a 180 slam, and then he dunks 2 balls in one jump. He even did the Aaron Gordon thing with the spinning dude holding the ball. And last but definitely not least, he pulls out Evan Mobley, gives him an extra 2 inches with a platform, grabs the ball, touches the rim, and then he dunks the ball. This should have me going feral. But anyways, this should give a very good idea of how much of a demon Mac McClung is. So now let's put him up against Kazuha. Now, if these two were to go dunk for dunk, we firstly need to figure out what Mac would do. For starters, dunking over Wembanyama just feels automatic. It's only right that he brings it out here. It would also be pretty cool to see him try and get the ball off a lob and go for a tomahawk, similar to what Derrick Jones Jr. did in 2020. Other than that, he just needs to keep doing cool stuff, like maybe dunking over 3 people on the line or something. That would be cool. Basically, he has to win the crowd immediately with something crazy. Think like busting out the Kia on the first dunk. As for Kazuha, we'll firstly take a look at what Spud Webb did in 1986. These were extremely simple dunks, but they were highly praised because Spud is really short by NBA standards. He stands at 5'7" and is pulling out Kareem dunks. Webb ended up getting a perfect 50 from the judges in the last 2 rounds, so we can assume that Kazuha has a pretty good chance. If he really wants to win this competition, he's gonna have to pull out some behind the backs, reverses, windmills. Hell, he can even pull out his dead friend's tombstone and dunk over it for all I care. The point is that no one's doubting his ability to get up, it's just that he needs to do more with it. Mac may be a foot taller than him, but it's not every day that you see a 6'2" point guard dunking over Shaq. Yes, Kazuha has the argument of being shorter, therefore dunks are impressive, but Mac is also pretty undersized. And given the fact that Kazuha has a known high vertical, he's gonna have to do a lot more than just float in the air. Again, I really don't see him as the type for theatrics, but instead just raw physical abilities. Mac, on the other hand, is definitely the entertainment type. So when it comes to a dunk contest between these two, I feel like I have to hand it to Mac McClung. Hear me out on this one though. The judges would not give a shit if you're flying over the basket every dunk attempt. If anything, it's just gonna set the bar higher for you since they'll be expecting you to pull out something even crazier with each round. Mac, on the other hand, would probably just win off of dunking on Wembanyama alone. Hell, his performance during All-Star Weekend was perfect 50s in all 4 rounds. If he were to go up against Kazuha, he'd pull out some shit that we wouldn't even think was possible. Kazuha can pull out all the flashy mid-air moves he wants, but it'll only work for like 2 rounds before the judges get bored of it. Like, yeah, a backflip mid-air into a dunk is cool, but like Mac just jumped over a Kia with Wemby out the roof. Like, what? Yes, I'm downplaying the shit out of Kazuha, but if we're being real, 5'2" dunking sounds cool until you find out that they have a 100-inch vertical jump. At that point, it just removes the fun in his dunks. Like, we're all expecting you to hit the dunk from 3 if you can jump 2 floors high. Not to say it wouldn't be impressive, but it would just actively harm him in the later rounds. And yes, if this competition were to happen in 2026, McClung would four-peat as the dunk contest champion. Don't ask how I randomly became a Mac McClung glazer all of a sudden. My 4 GOATs in basketball are Jordan Clarkson, LeBron James, George Mikan, and Mac McClung. Also, give this guy a full NBA contract. It would be so cool to see him put on a show during bum minutes. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And until next time.